और बहुत
We now have the MOU for cooperation in MSME, entrepreneurship and crafts. This document will be exchanged by Mr. Marcio Luis Franca Gomez, Minister of State for Entrepreneurship and Micro and Small Enterprises, and Shri Pavitra Margarita, Minister of State for External Affairs of India. Next, we have the MOU between Brazilian Health Regulatory Agency, Anvisa, and the Central Drugs Standard Control Organization of India. This document will be exchanged between Mr. Leandro Safatle, Director President of Anvisa, and Shri Dinesh Bhatia, Ambassador of India to Brazil. Lastly, we have the following two documents: the MOU on e-certificates of origin under the India-Mercosur Preferential Trade Agreement, and the MOU between INPI and CSIR on traditional knowledge digital library. These two documents will be exchanged between Mr. Marcio Elias Rosa, Deputy Minister of Development, Industry, Commerce and Services of Brazil, and Shri P. Kumaran, Secretary East in the Ministry of External Affairs of India. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the exchange ceremony. I would like to inform that Prime Minister Modi will be addressing the media in Hindi. Members of the audience may use the audio device provided to listen to the translation in Portuguese language. I now request the spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs to conduct the rest of the proceedings.
Namaskar, good afternoon. Your Excellency, Mr. Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, President of the Federative Republic of Brazil, Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, Honorable Ministers, members of both delegations, distinguished guests and friends from the media. We will now have the press statements. May I request Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, to give his remarks to the media.
Your Excellency, राष्ट्रपति लूला, दोनों देशों के डेलीगेट्स, मीडिया के साथी, नमस्कार, बोआ तार्दे। राष्ट्रपति लूला और उनके डेलीगेशन का भारत में स्वागत करते हुए मुझे अत्यंत प्रसन्नता हो रही है। जिस आत्मीयता और गर्मजोशी के साथ आपने पिछले वर्ष ब्राजील में मेरा स्वागत किया था, आज उसी भाव के साथ भारत का मैं आपका अभिनंदन करता हूं और ये मेरे लिए विशेष संतोष का विषय है। भारत और ब्राजील के संबंधों को राष्ट्रपति लूला की दूरदृष्टि और प्रेरक नेतृत्व का लंबे समय से लाभ मिलता रहा है। बीते कुछ वर्षों में मुझे इनसे कई बार मिलने का सौभाग्य मिला है और हर मुलाकात के दौरान मैंने भारत के प्रति इनकी गहरी मित्रता और विश्वास को महसूस किया है। राष्ट्रपति लूला के इस दौर ने ऐतिहासिक AI इम्पैक्ट समिट की शोभा भी बढ़ाई और हमारी रणनीतिक साझेदारी को नई ऊर्जा भी दी है। मैं उनकी मित्रता और दोनों देशों के संबंधों के प्रति कमिटमेंट के लिए राष्ट्रपति जी का आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। फ्रेंड्स, आज हमारी जो चर्चाएं हुई हैं, उनमें हमने हर क्षेत्र में शेयर्ड पर्पस और शेयर्ड एस्पिरेशन से आगे बढ़ने पर विचार विमर्श किया है। ब्राजील लैटिन अमेरिका में भारत का सबसे बड़ा ट्रेड पार्टनर है। हम आने वाले 5 वर्षों में द्विपक्षीय व्यापार को $20 बिलियन के भी आगे ले जाने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है। हमारा व्यापार केवल आंकड़ा नहीं, विश्वास का प्रतिबिंब है। राष्ट्रपति जी के साथ आया बड़ा बिजनेस डेलीगेशन इसी विश्वास को दिखाता है। भारत मर्कोसुर ट्रेड समझौते के विस्तार से हमारा आर्थिक सहयोग और सुदृढ़ होगा। टेक्नोलॉजी और इनोवेशन के क्षेत्र में हमारा सहयोग दोनों देशों के साथ साथ पूरे ग्लोबल साउथ के लिए महत्व रखता है। मुझे खुशी है कि हम ब्राजील में डिजिटल पब्लिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के लिए सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस बनाने पर काम कर रहे हैं। आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, सुपर कंप्यूटर, सेमीकंडक्टर्स और ब्लॉकचेन जैसे क्षेत्रों में अपने सहयोग को भी हम प्राथमिकता दे रहे हैं। हम दोनों देश मानते हैं कि टेक्नोलॉजी मस्ट बी इंक्लूसिव एंड इट मस्ट बिकम अ ब्रिज फॉर शेयर्ड प्रोग्रेस। ऊर्जा सहयोग हमारे संबंधों का एक मजबूत स्तंभ रहा है। हाइड्रोकार्बन के साथ साथ हम रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी, एथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग, सस्टेनेबल एविएशन फ्यूल ऐसे अनेक क्षेत्रों में भी सहयोग को और अधिक गति दे रहे हैं। ग्लोबल बायोफ्यूल अलायंस में ब्राजील की सक्रिय भागीदारी ग्रीन फ्यूचर के प्रति हमारे साझा संकल्प को दर्शाती है। ब्राजील ने कोएलिशन फॉर डिजास्टर रेजिलिएंट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की सह अध्यक्षता का भी प्रस्ताव रखा है। मैं इस पहल के लिए राष्ट्रपति लूला का अभिनंदन करता हूं। इस क्षेत्र में ब्राजील का व्यापक अनुभव सीडीआरआई को और सशक्त बनाने में महत्वपूर्ण योगदान देगा। क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स और रेयर अर्थ में जो समझौता हुआ है वो रेजिलिएंट सप्लाई चेन्स के निर्माण में एक बहुत बड़ा कदम है। डिफेंस के क्षेत्र में भी हमारा सहयोग निरंतर बढ़ रहा है। ये एक दूसरे के प्रति भरोसे और रणनीतिक तालमेल का बेहतरीन उदाहरण है। हम इस विन विन पार्टनरशिप को आगे भी और मजबूत करते रहेंगे। हम कृषि और पशुपालन क्षेत्र में अपने साझेदारी को भविष्य की जरूरतों के हिसाब से नए आयाम दे रहे हैं। क्लाइमेट रेजिलिएंट एग्रीकल्चर, प्रिसीजन फार्मिंग और बायो फर्टिलाइजर जैसे क्षेत्रों में हमारा सहयोग दोनों देशों की फूड सिक्योरिटी को मजबूत करेगा। ब्राजील में ऑयल सीड्स, पल्सीज और इंटीग्रेटेड फार्मिंग के लिए सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस इसी दिशा में एक अहम पहल होने वाली है। हेल्थ और फार्मा के क्षेत्र में भी सहयोग की अपार संभावनाएं हैं। हम भारत से ब्राजील को एफोर्डेबल और क्वालिटी मेडिसिन की आपूर्ति बढ़ाने पर काम करेंगे। साथ ही ब्राजील में आयुर्वेद और ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन का भी विस्तार किया जाएगा ताकि होलिस्टिक हेल्थ केयर को बढ़ावा मिले। फ्रेंड, वैश्विक मंच पर भारत और ब्राजील की साझेदारी सशक्त और प्रभावशाली रही है। लोकतांत्रिक देशों के रूप में हम ग्लोबल साउथ की प्राथमिकताओं और आकांक्षाओं को आगे बढ़ाते रहेंगे। When India and Brazil work together, the voice of global south becomes stronger and more confident. हमारा मानना है कि हर समस्या का समाधान डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी के माध्यम से होना चाहिए। भारत और ब्राजील एक मत है कि आतंकवाद और उसके समर्थक पूरी मानवता के शत्रु हैं। हम इस बात पर भी सहमत हैं कि वर्तमान समय की चुनौतियों से निपटने के लिए वैश्विक संस्थानों का रिफॉर्म अत्यंत आवश्यक है। हम इस दिशा में भी मिलकर प्रयास करते रहेंगे। एक्सेलेंसी, मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि आपकी यह यात्रा हमारी रणनीतिक साझेदारी को और गहराई देगी और आने वाले वर्षों में सहयोग के नए आयाम स्थापित करेगी। मैं एक बार फिर आपकी यात्रा और आपकी गहरी मित्रता के लिए हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। muito obrigado.
Thank you, sir. May I now request His Excellency Mr. Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, President of the Federative Republic of Brazil, to give his remarks to the media.
Excelentíssimo senhor Primeiro-Ministro da República da Índia, Narendra Modi, amigos ministros da Índia, amigos e amigas ministros e ministras do Brasil, meu caro amigo.
And my dear friend Modi, it is a reason of happiness for me to return to this country for the 6th time. The meeting between India and Brazil is a meeting of superlatives. We are not just the two biggest democracies of the global south. This is a meeting of the world's pharmacy with the world's barn, and a digital superpower with a renewable energy superpower. We are both mega diverse countries and hubs of the cultural industry, and we both defend multilateralism and peace. The invitation by Prime Minister Modi for this state visit and also to attend the AI Impact Summit shows the synchrony and mutual trust that binds us together. A few months ago, in July last year, I had the honor of hosting my friend Modi in Brasilia. His visit was a milestone. On that occasion, we restructured the bilateral cooperation agenda in 5 areas: defense and security, food and nutritional security, energy transition and climate change, digital transformation and emerging technologies, and industrial partnerships in strategic areas. Today, in Delhi, in the year when we celebrate 20 years of the establishment of the Brazil-India Strategic Partnership, we are going into action. Therefore, the preparation of this visit involved the visit of my Vice President, Geraldo Alckmin, and a business delegation last year. Also involved the early arrival of many ministers and 300 business people this week. We signed several agreements that provide concrete quality to our cooperation in these areas. It is notable the Indian evolution in cutting-edge sectors such as information technology, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and space exploration. They create a lot of cooperation opportunities with Brazil. And this translates our commitment with an agenda that places technology at the service of inclusive development, increasing investments and cooperation in matters of renewable energies and critical minerals is at the core of the pioneering agreement that we have signed today. At the level of the Global Biofuel Alliance, our countries are securing the due place for this technology in the climate agenda and global energy agenda. The establishing of synergies between the industrial hubs of health for our countries is also a central part of the bilateral cooperation. India and Brazil work side by side and have done so for decades in defending equal access to medication, above all generic medication, and also for health sovereignty at the World Health Organization. In this visit, Fiocruz has signed several agreements for research and local production of strategic inputs such as vaccine for tuberculosis and oncologic medications, immunosuppressors, and for neglected and rare diseases. There is also a great potential for cooperation in the area of smart hospitals, such as the hospital that Minister Padilla visited in Bangalore 2 days ago. In the area of defense, our aeronautic industry has been strengthening its presence in India, as it can be seen by the opening of the Embraer office in Delhi. The trilateral agreement between Mazagon Dock and the Indian and Brazilian navies is going to be part of the maintenance activities for submarines of the Scorpion class and other military vessels. All of these efforts will help for us to reach the target that Prime Minister Modi and I agreed on last year of increasing our trade flow to $20 billion by 2030. In 2025, bilateral flow surpassed $15 billion for the first time in history, a growth of 25% in relation to 2024. We are moving forward so fast that we should revisit our goal of reaching 30 billion in exchange by 2025. And then depending on the Brazilian business delegation that actually came to India, we are going to continue with this bilateral relationship. The agreement to increase the validity of tourism and business visas to 5 to 10 years is an initial step to facilitate and increase the flow of people between our countries. In the same way, the Brazil-India Economic Forum will gather about 600 representatives from the private sectors from both countries, looking for the many business opportunities. As a reply to the trade unilateralism, Mercosur, as well as India, recently concluded a free trade agreement with the European Union. Therefore, it is more than natural that Mercosur and India work so as to increase significantly the preferential trade agreement which we already have in force amongst us. My friends, a turbulent global scenario requires our countries to strengthen and deepen our strategic dialogue. I hosted the presidency of the G20 in Prime Minister Modi in 2024. I've received the presidency from him, and this year India received from Brazil the presidency of BRICS. This presidency flow between our countries is extremely beneficial to the interests of the global South. India and Brazil are crucial voices at the UN, at the WTO and G20. We are partners in building a multilateral governance which is more just, peaceful, governed by international law. Prime Minister Modi and I talked at length about how we can persevere the paths to peace. There is no possibility of having a fair, sustainable development in a conflicted world. As stated by Prime Minister Modi at the BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro, It is impossible for us to run a 21st century software in old typewriters from the 20th century. We emphasize our commitment with the UN reform, particularly of the Security Council, so that it may represent the interests from Global South and that have Brazil and India as natural candidates. Here it is important to remind the Indian and Brazilian press that for over 20 years, Brazil, India, Japan and Germany set up a group called G4, where we defend the increase of the UN Security Council, which is something that hasn't happened until now, but will definitely happen soon, because the UN needs more representation. The UN needs to have the force, the strength to interfere in the conflicts that we see throughout the world today. And if it is, a body that doesn't operate, this will not survive. So we're going to continue to fight for the UN to be more representative with more countries throughout the world and more, Brazil and India as members of the Permanent Security Council. Increasing the categories of permanent and non-permanent members is an essential condition to provide legitimacy and efficacy to global governance amidst so many challenges. We support the efforts for the end of the war in the Ukraine. It is also urgent, important to alleviate the suffering of the Palestinian people. Brazil has really repudiated the attacks in Kashmir. We know that terrorism is not associated to any religion or nationality. Also, it cannot be confused as public security challenges that many countries face. These are different phenomena, and that should not be used as an excuse for intervention at the margin of international law. I reaffirm to Prime Minister Modi that Brazil is committed to maintaining, keeping South America as a zone of peace. After all, the only wars that humanity should engage in is the wars against hunger, poverty, and environmental degradation. This state visit provides a new chapter for a long journey of bilateral cooperation between Brazil and India. My dear friend Modi, I would like to finish by saying to you, sir, that I am completely sure that the eyes of Brazil towards India is one of very hopeful eyes. In India, we have a country of a lot of similarities. Despite the difference in the number of inhabitants, we have very similar problems. Our scientific and technological knowledge, they are close. And if we work together, we are going to strengthen Brazil-India bilateral relation. We're going to strengthen our relation with the Mercosur, and we're going to strengthen the Global South so that we never, ever again are faced with a Cold War between, two big superpowers. Thank you very much.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, we conclude this press statement. Thank you very much for your presence.
Muito bem.
MOUs were exchanged between India and Brazil in the presence of PM Narendra Modi and Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva at Hyderabad House. PM Modi highlighted the mutual trust and shared purpose between the two nations, emphasizing that their partnership is crucial for the Global South. Speaking at the event, President Lula expressed his joy at returning to India for the sixth time, calling the meeting of superlative. He highlighted the unique relationship between the two nations, describing them not only as the two biggest democracies of the Global South, but also as a digital superpower and a renewable energy superpower. Lula also condemned the terror attack in J&K and said that terrorism not seen as public security issues. I have joining me now on the broadcast Ambassador Sushil Singhal, who is a former diplomat. Ambassador Singhal, I want to begin by asking you, now, how significant is this partnership at a time of shifting global power dynamics?
Sure. The thing is that, this partnership between India and Brazil is long-standing. And, we have a strategic partnership since 2006. And as you rightly said, that, the global dynamics is shifting all the time. And India and Brazil, they have shown the relationship, the way it is going. They are prominent voice in BRICS as well as G20. And, when they spoke, they also talk about the reformed multilateralism and a balanced global order. So they are the, saner voice which wants that the multilateral order, the way it is being disrupted, should not be, and they want to reform it and, of course, keep it balanced. Today, this conversation which they have taken place, which you were just mentioning, they have talked about, because we all know about the critical minerals and rare earth, how critical they have become because of the, disruptions in the supply chain by some countries because they monopolize. So what they are doing is they are trying to secure the supply chain for the minerals, and which will not only beneficial to the country, but I think for the global supply chains also is going to be very critical. Then they have also talked about the digital public infrastructure. Because India is now, we all know that is a leading country in this field. And we are, I think Prime Minister has announced setting up a center of excellence of DPI in Brazil, which will help them in digital transformation. And also they talked about this telecom and digital partnership, which is very important for the 6G technology, cyber security, and in quantum communication again is very important. And India has been looking for partners for the aerospace manufacturing. Now they are talking about the Brazilian firm Embraer. They also want to start even co-production in India, which I think is beneficial to both the countries. So when we see of course the global biofuel allowance, again the green technology, in which the Brazil is a leading voice, a leading country, and now they are going to partnership in that, so it will be beneficial to both the countries. So when we look at the relationship, again I'll say that just to sum up, this relationship is very important, particularly in the present time, because they are committed for the assistance or to become a voice of the global south, and both are prominent in G20 and BRICS. So they coordinate their positions also. So I think this is a very good, visit, and I think results are also, we all can see that.
Ambassador Singhal, now do you think India's digital public infrastructure model could become a template for global south countries with Brazil's backing?
Certainly, because not only this is the beauty of this digital public infrastructure, because India, and very, very, very interestingly, what India has done, we have not patented. What we are doing, we're sharing the technology. So this is helping to increase the footprint of this digital public infrastructure, not only India, but in other countries. Even in France, we have done that, and about, I think, the 8 countries already have adopted. And with the Brazil coming on board, I think this is going to be, a message for the countries in Latin America, because if they have a center in Brazil, it will be easier for them the countries in Latin America and Caribbean to access the technology from there. And India is already working in Europe and also in Africa. So I think, to answer your question shortly, I think is going to be very important for the spread of the digital public infrastructure around the world.
I also have Mr. Sanjeev Srivastav, he's a foreign affairs expert, joining me. Mr. Srivastav, I also want to ask you the same question now. How significant is this partnership at a time of shifting global power dynamics?
I think India-Brazil strategic partnership is of enormous significance. Both the nations are part of BRICS and IPSA, India, Brazil, South Africa, and obviously G20, G4 like grouping. Both the nations are apart. And at a time when this world is moving towards becoming a multi-polar world, and a new world order is being, established, this growing partnership between India and Brazil is of enormous significance. And both the nations, India and Brazil, they realize that they have to provide a leadership role in this.
All right. We seem to have a problem with Mr. Srivastava's audio there. But I want to go back now to, of course, Ambassador Sushil Singhal. Now, Ambassador Singhal, I also want to ask you that, how does this evolving India-Brazil dynamic impact China's influence within BRICS and the broader global south?
Let me talk about the BRICS. Of course, the BRICS is, China is a dominant economy. We have to accept that. But when India and Brazil and the like-minded country partner in BRICS, so that helps in bringing the voice of the global south into the whole relationship of the BRICS, and also keep it balanced, because sometimes, as we know, the China and US are at the loggerhead on various issues. So they try to use BRICS for their purposes. And when countries like India and Brazil come together, they keep it balanced, because as we all know that India is all the time keen to have good relations with all the countries, and we also always believe in the strategic autonomy. So it's very helpful in that. And when it comes to the leadership at Global South, as we know, for the last few years, and particularly after G20, when India brought the concerns of the Global South on in the framing and the working of the G20, and it became part of the important part of the declaration, which was joint declaration which was issued, and also our
Ambassador Singhal, pardon me, but I'll have to interrupt you. We're very short on time. But joining me now is Major General Shashi Asthana, defense expert. Major General Asthana, I want to ask you that, in a world which is increasingly divided by geopolitical blocs, where does this India-Brazil partnership really stand?
India-Brazil partnership has got a very unique, relationship between the two countries, for the simple reason that despite being one is part of BRICS, is one part of it, but then in a global competition where USA and China are competitors, we are the developing countries who want to pursue their development goal and yet not confront any of the superpowers or major powers and waste energy there. So therefore, both these countries have got a lot in common, whether it is in terms of energy, biofuel. Both have similar size. Both are aspirants of being part of UNSC. Both are. Brazil happens to be the largest country in South America, and India and China are the large countries in Asia. So there is a lot in common. Both are part of Global South. Both have ambition to develop, but at the same time, both don't want to be a part of any competition. So considering that, I think there is a lot. Our problems are common. Our aspirations are common. And in addition to that, I think with the kind of relationship with United States propagated in last 1 year, I think both the countries were on fire line from United States. But I think we both have pulled out and have managed to follow our strategic autonomy, yet pull out the best deals for each other. So I think there is a lot in common and there's a lot of grounds to cover. I'm very sure that with India's leadership of BRICS, there is a lot which we can do in terms of the digital payment systems, and perhaps that may simplify the payment system and too much of dependence on SWIFT and dollars. I think that is a major thing which India should be looking at when we carry on with the presidency of BRICS in this year. Back to you.
Major General Shashi Asana, thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast. Now, despite President Donald Trump's tough rhetoric on Iran, a senior White House official revealed that there is still no unified support within the administration for proceeding with a military strike. The official, who spoke to Reuters on the condition of anonymity, emphasized that internal discussions are ongoing and no final decision has been made. Trump's aides are reportedly concerned about sending a distracted message to undecided voters who are more focused on economic issues. This suggests that political considerations are also playing a role in the administration's deliberations. I have Major General Rajan Kochar, defense expert, joining me. Major General Kochar, welcome. And I'd like to begin with your opening comments on this.
You see, this dilemma has been troubling Trump for quite some time now, because forces have been deployed and an additional aircraft carrier has been moved, and the warships and the armada is already there. And when you keep a force like this for a very, very long time, and when there is no clear-cut military aim actually given to them, because see, from a political aim, a military aim gets translated. But what we are seeing in the Iran situation is that Trump has started to get cold feet, because he has opened a large number of fronts. He is having his domestic issues which he cannot sort out, Epstein files, and now a tariff issue has come up with the Supreme Court ruling, which is now making him think twice that whether this would be the right course of action. Because any war, it's so very easy to start a war, but to prolong it or to end it, I think requires a conscious effort, and I don't think this will be a short war, because whatever Trump may say that it will be limited war, it may be limited from his side, but what about the escalation pattern? What about the riposte of the enemy? And if that riposte in which some significant damage is done to the U.S. assets and to the casualties also coming in, will Trump be restricted on a limited option? So all these things cannot be pre-decided, because in a war there are a lot of intangibles. So I think now he's in a state of dilemma, and let's wait what emerges out of the talks which are going on.